Step Pyramid. The oldest large stone structure in Egypt, built around 2650 BCE for Pharaoh Djoser at Saqqara. Before this, royal tombs were flat-roofed structures made of mud brick. The architect Imhotep stacked 6 of those flat structures on top of each other, each one smaller than the one below, creating a staircase shape rising about 60 meters into the sky. The idea was likely symbolic, a giant stairway the pharaoh could climb to reach the gods after death. It was groundbreaking in every sense, and nothing quite like it had ever been built before. Bent Pyramid. Built for Pharaoh Snefru at Dahshur around 2600 BCE, this pyramid tells the story of a project that ran into serious trouble. It starts at a steep angle of about 54 degrees, then partway up it suddenly shifts to a shallower angle of around 43 degrees. Builders almost certainly noticed cracking in the internal chambers and changed course to reduce the weight pressing down. The result is an odd, angular shape that looks unlike any other pyramid in Egypt. Despite its awkward appearance, it actually survives in remarkable condition, with much of its original outer casing still intact. Red Pyramid. Also built by Snefru at Dahshur, not long after the Bent Pyramid, this one is considered Egypt's first true smooth-sided pyramid. Snefru's builders applied what they learned from their earlier mistakes and kept the angle consistent throughout, around 43 degrees, the same as the upper section of the Bent Pyramid. The reddish limestone blocks on its core give it its modern name. It stands about 104 meters tall and for a time was the tallest structure in the world. It rarely gets the same attention as the pyramids at Giza, but in terms of engineering progress, it was a major leap forward. Great Pyramid of Giza. Built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2560 BCE, this is the most famous pyramid ever constructed and the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing. For nearly 4,000 years it held the record as the tallest man-made structure on Earth at about 138 meters today, having lost some height over time. Around 2.3 million stone blocks were used, some weighing up to 80 tons. Inside, its internal layout is more complex than most pyramids, featuring the Grand Gallery, the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and a series of shafts whose purpose is still debated. The precision of its construction, from the near-perfect alignment to the cardinal points to the tight-fitting stones, continues to astonish engineers and historians alike. Pyramid of Khafre. Standing beside the Great Pyramid at Giza, this one was built for Khufu's son Khafre around 2530 BCE. It appears taller than Khufu's pyramid at first glance, but that is only because it was built on slightly higher ground. In reality it is a few meters shorter. What makes it immediately recognizable is the cap of original white limestone casing that still clings to its upper section, a remnant of what all the Giza pyramids once looked like, smooth and gleaming. The Great Sphinx nearby is believed to bear Khafre's face and was built as part of his larger funerary complex. Pyramid of Menkaure. The smallest of the 3 main Giza pyramids, built for Pharaoh Menkaure around 2510 BCE. At roughly 65 meters tall, it is considerably shorter than its neighbors, and the reasons for that are not fully understood. Some historians suggest it reflects a shift in priorities or resources, while others believe it was simply a deliberate choice. Its lower courses were cased in granite rather than limestone, which was a more expensive and difficult material to work with. Despite its smaller size, it was surrounded by 3 smaller satellite pyramids and a well-built valley temple, suggesting it was still a significant royal project. Satellite Pyramid. A smaller pyramid built alongside a main royal pyramid, and nearly every major pyramid complex included at least one. Their purposes varied. Some were built for queens or members of the royal family. Others appear to have served a ritual function, possibly housing the pharaoh's ka, a spiritual component of the soul thought to need its own dwelling place. A few were built as symbolic tombs with no actual burial inside. They are often overlooked because of their size, but they were considered essential parts of the overall funerary complex rather than afterthoughts. Pyramid of Meidum. One of the stranger cases in Egyptian pyramid history. It began as a step pyramid, likely started under Pharaoh Huni and continued by Snefru, who later had the steps filled in to create a true pyramid shape. At some point, possibly during construction or centuries later, much of the outer casing collapsed, leaving a three-tiered tower rising out of a wide mound of rubble. Whether it collapsed in antiquity or was dismantled by later builders taking stone for other projects is still debated. What remains today looks almost nothing like a typical pyramid and gives it an eerie, ruined quality unlike anything else at Egyptian sites. Pyramid of Userkaf. The first pyramid built by a pharaoh of the 5th dynasty, constructed at Saqqara around 2490 BCE. After the massive ambitions of the 4th dynasty, which produced Giza, the 5th dynasty pyramids were noticeably smaller and built with less precision. Userkaf's pyramid originally stood about 49 meters tall, but because the core was made from loose rubble rather than solid stone, it has deteriorated badly over time and today resembles little more than a mound. The shift in focus during this period seems to have moved toward elaborate sun temples rather than massive burial monuments. Pyramid of Unas. Built at Saqqara for Pharaoh Unas around 2375 BCE, this relatively modest structure holds a distinction far more significant than its size suggests. Inside its burial chamber, carved into the walls in vertical columns, are the oldest known religious texts in the world, the Pyramid Texts. These are a collection of spells, hymns, and instructions designed to protect the pharaoh and guide him safely into the afterlife. Earlier pyramids had plain interiors. Unas changed that permanently, and from this point forward, decorating the interior walls with sacred text became a standard part of Egyptian funerary tradition. Black Pyramid. Built by Amenemhat I at Dashur during the Middle Kingdom, around 1850 BCE. It gets its dark appearance from the mud brick core that now dominates after its outer limestone casing was stripped away in later centuries. The pyramid was intended as Amenemhat's burial place, but he was ultimately buried elsewhere, possibly because the Black Pyramid developed structural problems and groundwater seeped into its lower chambers. The Pyramid Ion, the capped top stone, was found intact and is now in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. It is one of the few surviving pyramid capstones from ancient Egypt and is covered in hieroglyphic inscriptions. Pyramid of Amenemhat I, built at Lisht around 1970 BCE, this pyramid marks an important transition point. After a long period during which pyramid building had slowed or stopped entirely, Amenemhat I revived the tradition at the start of the Middle Kingdom. The construction method, however, had changed. Instead of using only quarried stone, builders filled the core with recycled material including blocks taken from older monuments, even from Old Kingdom pyramid complexes. This approach was more economical but far less durable. The pyramid has largely collapsed into rubble today, though its historical role as a revival of royal pyramid building makes it significant beyond its current appearance. Nubian Pyramid. Built not in Egypt proper but in the ancient kingdoms of Kush in what is now Sudan, and numbering over 200, far more pyramids than exist in Egypt itself. Nubian rulers adopted pyramid building from Egypt but developed their own distinct style. Their pyramids are much steeper, with angles between 65 and 70 degrees, making them tall and narrow compared to Egyptian examples. They are also considerably smaller. Built mainly between around 700 BCE and 300 CE, they span a much longer period than the Egyptian pyramid building era. Sites like Meroe and Nuri contain clusters of these steep-sided structures, many of which were damaged by a European explorer in the 19th century who blasted open their tops searching for treasure.